Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to another Big Mouth Daily. Remember, you can tag, speak to me and follow me over on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. On today's show, we're going to be discussing something we very rarely discuss here on Big Mouth, and that's English football. As I react to this shocker, this Super League shocker, we will discuss Andy Muschietti's plans for the DCEU, including what his Justice League movie will look like and what his Justice League movie will look like as well. We will react to the news that Rian Johnson has approached Lucasfilm about directing an episode of The Mandalorian, so that's another shocker. But first today, let's talk. Oh, and by the way, in the final part of the show, I'll be talking about Superman's 83rd birthday, which was yesterday, and I'll be telling you what the character means to me. So, big shocker here. European Super League, Premier League's Big Six, agreed to join new league. So let's get the details here. Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United and Tottenham are among 12 clubs who have agreed to join a new European Super League, ESL. In a seismic move for European football, the Premier League clubs will join AC Milan, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Inter Milan, Juventus and Real Madrid. The ESL said the founding clubs had agreed to establish a new midweek competition with teams continuing to compete in their respective national leagues. You really think they're going to let you do that? Let's see what happens. Cool. It's said that an inaugural season was intended to commence as soon as practicable and anticipated that a further 3 clubs would join the breakaway. I wonder who those 3 clubs are. The ESL said it also planned to launch a women's competition as soon as possible after the men's tournament starts. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, UEFA and the Premier League condemned the move when the news broke on Sunday. Critics say the move is being driven purely by money. You think? Would destroy domestic league and is against the integrity of the sport. First of all, I don't agree that it would destroy the domestic league. It's a European thing. It doesn't take anything away. In fact, it would give other teams a chance to qualify for the Europa and Champions League, surely. World governing body FIFA had previously said it would not recognise such a competition, and in any players involved could be denied the chance to play at a World Cup. I have talked to some Premier League players who are very concerned about that very situation. Now, what I want to ask is, if FIFA and UEFA don't sanction this, they can't use FIFA and UEFA referees. So then would they use their own referees? I don't know how they're going to do this. UEFA, Europe's governing body, reiterated that warning on Sunday when it said players involved would be banned from all other competitions at domestic, European or world level and could be prevented from representing their national teams. After the ESL was announced, FIFA expressed its disapproval of the proposed competition and called on all parties involved in heated discussions to engage in calm, constructive and balanced dialogue for the good of the game. The ESL has sent a letter to FIFA President Gianni Infantino and UEFA boss Alexander Ceferin, issuing notice of legal proceedings in the European courts designed to block any sanctions the 2 governing bodies may try and enforce over formation of the ESL. In a statement, the ESL said, going forward, the founding clubs look forward to holding discussions with UEFA and FIFA to work together in partnership to deliver the best outcomes for the new league and for football as a whole. Wow. Why now? There were talks in October involving Wall Street bank JP Morgan over a new 4.6 billion competition that would replace the Champions League. UEFA had hoped that plans for a new 36-team Champions League with reforms set to be confirmed on Monday would head off the formation of a Super League. However, the 12 sides involved in the Super League do not think the reforms go far enough. They said the global pandemic had accelerated an instability in the existing European football economic model. In recent months, extensive dialogue has taken place with football stakeholders regarding the future format for European competitions, they added. The founding clubs believe the solutions proposed following these talks do not solve fundamental issues, including the need to provide higher quality matches and additional financial resources for the overall football pyramid. What is the proposed format? The league will have 20 teams, the 12 founding members plus the 3 unnamed clubs. they expect to join soon, and 5 sides who qualify annually according to their domestic achievements. So let's say that again because this is interesting. The league will have 20 teams, the 12 founding members plus the 3 unnamed clubs they expect to join soon, and 5 sides who qualify annually according to their domestic achievements. So are they saying that they'll allow another 5 teams to join, depending on how they do in the league? I think that's what they're saying. So that's interesting. 20 teams. 20 teams. Wow. Under the proposals, the ESL campaign will start in August each year, with midweek fixtures, and the clubs will be split into 2 groups of 10, playing each other home and away. The top 3 in each group would qualify for the quarter-finals, with the teams in 4th and 5th playing a 2-legged playoff for the 2 remaining spots. From then on, it would have the same 2-leg knockout format used in the Champions League before a single-leg final in May at a neutral venue. The ESL said it would generate more money than the Champions League and would result in a greater distribution of revenue throughout the game. Now, this is interesting because your Gary Nevilles and everyone are talking about greed and everything, and there is an element of greed in it. But I think these people have thought this through. Because what if this generates so much money that they can give clubs, the smaller clubs, more money because of it? This destabilises UEFA and FIFA. And I think this is the real plan here. I actually don't think, although, look, listen, it's a shock to the system. It is immoral in a lot of ways, and I know why lots of people are angry. And I wonder how many YouTubers are doing what I'm doing right now, elite YouTubers, because I'm not an elite YouTuber, actually giving you the facts. They're reacting to something, but they're not telling you what it's all about. And that's important before we have the real discussion here. What do the Super League leaders say? Real Madrid president Florentino Perez, the first chairman of the ESL, said the new competition would help football at every level. Football is the only global sport in the world with more than 4 billion fans, and our responsibility as big clubs is to respond to their desires, he added. Juventus chairman Andrea Agnelli has resigned from the UEFA Executive Committee, and as chairman of the European Club Association ECA, which had pushed a planned Champions League reforms, he said the 12 clubs had come together at this critical moment, enabling European competition to be transformed, putting the game we love on a sustainable footing for a long-term future. Manchester United co-chairman Joe Glazer will be vice-chairman of the Super League. He said, by bringing together the world's greatest clubs and players to play each other throughout the season, the Super League will open a new chapter for European football, ensuring world-class competition and facilities and increased financial support for the wider football pyramid. What has been the reaction? Essentially widespread condemnation from anyone not involved in the proposed league. Johnson said the plans would be very damaging for football, and France's President Emmanuel Macron welcomed French clubs refusing to join. Now, I want to talk about the clubs who have refused to join. Let's be absolutely clear here. The only reason they refuse to join because they don't know if it's going to be successful. You wait and see. If this new Super League actually happens, and I have my doubts about that, I can promise you, Bayern Munich, who apparently haven't joined because they care about football and, they care about the fans. Nobody cares about the fans here, right? These are clever people. They're just waiting to see how all this turns out. Then I assure you, they will join. UEFA released a joint statement with England's Football Association, the Premier League, the Spanish Football Federation, La Liga, and the Italian Football Federation, as well as Serie A, saying they would remain united in trying to stop the breakaway using all available measures. The ECA said it strongly opposed the league, while Football Supporters Association said the plans were motivated by nothing but cynical greed. As I said before, you think? Among ex-professionals, former Liverpool and Tottenham midfielder Danny Murphy told BBC Sport the plans sound soulless. Former Manchester United captain Gary Neville told Sky Sports he was absolutely disgusted, while former teammate Rio Ferdinand said on BT Sport that the proposals will hurt fans the most. I'm not being funny, Rio, but you were the man who met Peter Kenyon, the then Chelsea CEO chairman, for transfer talks to leave Manchester United and go to Chelsea, and you were caught having dinner with the man. I don't think you've got anything to say here. The ultimate betrayal. Fan groups associated with all 6 English clubs involved are strongly opposed to the Super League. Liverpool supporters group Spirit of Shankly, SOS, said it was appalled by the decision of the Fenway Sports Group. The clubs US-based owner. In a social media post, SOS said FSG had ignored fans in their relentless and greedy pursuit of money. Football is ours, not theirs. Our football club is ours, not theirs. Yes, but legally, it's theirs. Yeah, emotionally, it's ours. I'm not a Liverpool fan, by the way. I'm a Manchester United fan. But we gotta understand here. Yes, if we want, we can withdraw our support from these clubs and we can destroy them by doing so. But not everyone's going to do that. Not everyone in fandom is united, and that's the problem. Chelsea Supporter Trust called the move unforgivable and said its members and football supporters across the world have experienced the ultimate betrayal. The Arsenal Supporters Trust called the club's agreement to join the death of Arsenal as a sporting institution. I thought Arsenal were already in a coma. It's a shame nobody's actually switched off the life support machine, the ventilator by now. Manchester City's official supporters club said the move showed those involved have zero regard for the game's traditions, adding it was determined to fight against this proposed Super League. The Manchester United Supporters Trust had earlier said the proposals were completely unacceptable, and ESL goes against everything football and Manchester United should stand for. Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust said the ESL was a concept driven by avarice and self-interest at the expense of the instinctive values of the game, and we hold so dear. Analysis. BBC Sports' Simon Stone. If there was any lingering doubt over the desire of these 12 clubs to launch their own competition, it has been removed by their statement, reinforced by each of them through their own media platforms. So many questions remain unanswered. Chiefly, can they actually get their plan over the line, given the strong resistance from UEFA and the leagues and the associations of countries concerned? I will tell you how they can do it, basically, in a minute, without any support. But beyond that, who will the other 3 clubs be to make up the 15 founding members? Will Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain eventually join up? And how will the other 5 clubs be decided? These discussions will be fascinating, but right now the clubs have signed up to the European Super League have a public relations battle to turn around perceptions, because initial reaction has been overwhelmingly negative. Yeah, people didn't want Ben Affleck to be Batman. They actually started a petition. People didn't want Michael Keaton to be Batman. They started a petition. They are held up as 2 of the greatest versions of Batman. I'm bringing geek culture into football because it's all about fandoms at the end of the day. Right. If the big clubs want to do this, and it seems like they do, but as I've also said, I have my doubts about the genuine ferocity of them wanting to do this, and we'll talk about that shortly. If they want to do this, nobody can stop them, right? All UEFA and FIFA can do is say you can't play internationals, your players can't play internationals, you're out the Champions League, which they're going to be out the Europa and Champions League because they've got a new European competition. They could chuck these clubs out of the domestic leagues. If they do that, it gives these elite clubs what they want. They know the scenarios are going to happen before they announce this. They've been trying this for 2 or 3 decades now to have breakaway domestic leagues, breakaway super leagues. The European Super League thing has been muted so many times and they haven't done it. But now they have found an opportunity to do it. Now, in the past, they haven't gone as far as to make announcements. So it seems from the outside looking in, they want, look, you know, the public thing is they want the public to know about this. They want outrage. They want the governing bodies to feel under pressure. But if they want to do this, they can. And if they're thrown out of all the games, right, that, you know, if they're thrown out of all the competitions, they will just create their own domestic competition. Or what they can do is just literally expand this European Super League to more teams, because more teams will want to join, and just have it from August to May as a proper thing. So it would be the death of football as we know it. It would be terrible. It would be heartbreaking to the fans, right? Now, there's obvious... Listen, I want to open the curtain now and tell you what this really is about as far as I'm concerned. What's going on here is there is a power struggle. There is a war between UEFA, FIFA, and the clubs. The clubs obviously want more of a say how these European competitions are structured. New plans, as we've read, are being announced today. This is what it's really about. So I think they've clearly thought about the structure of this Super League, but I think it's more blackmail and a public threat, right? Because now, you know, we've seen the reaction from ex-pundits, from people on social media. the pressure is on. You know, the problem is once these huge clubs, if these huge clubs leave their domestic leagues, imagine, right, Rangers and Celtic leaving. Now, this is interesting. What's going on with Rangers and Celtic? I didn't see their names bandied about there. Have I forgotten already? My memory's shit. I'm getting old, 48 years old. But will Rangers and Celtic join this as well? That'd be interesting. But just think about this. Rangers and Celtic announced one day they're leaving the Scottish League. Do you remember how many times they tried to join the Premier League? What would happen to the Scottish League? It would die. There would be no games. The gate receipts would be low. They would be dead. And so Europa and FIFA really can't go forward with these plans to expel them or say their players can't play international football. So let's just say all these players from all these clubs can't play for their international countries anymore, their international teams. Who's going to play? Who's going to play? I've said for a very long time, each football association should actually develop their own international players. If they did that, they could follow forward with this threat. They wouldn't be reliant on these big elite clubs players, but they are. You need them. So to say that you're not going to allow these players of these teams who have sanctioned a brand new Super League in international games, you can't do it. You would destroy the international game. There will be no competitiveness about it. So it's an empty threat. All these things we're hearing are empty threats. Now we've heard Boris Johnson and governments around Europe saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We don't agree. First of all, how Boris Johnson can talk to anyone about fucking greed, I don't know. But anyway, he hasn't got any control over these clubs. You see, isn't it interesting? The hypocrisy of this is amazing to me. Do you remember a little league called the Premier League? Do you remember how all those clubs bought into this idea from Sky Sports? And the Premier League was formed and they left the old Division 1. They left the old format behind. The same conversations were happening. It was despicable. It was a cash grab. But that's the domino effect. This is what started all this. The Premier League. Sky started all this. And guess what? We got Gary Neville, Sky pundit. As much as I love Gary, he's passionate. I love the way he talks. He played for my club, Manchester United. I love the guy. He's great. But at the end of the day, you're taking Sky Sports money, the very people, the very infrastructure that started this whole thing, who started the Premier League, who made football about money, that priced working class people out of buying Chelsea season tickets, for example. It's a fucking fortune to get a season ticket at Chelsea. We know that, right? So let's not start acting all moral here, Gary and the rest of you. There's a lot of fake and genuine outrage here. As I say, I've seen a lot of YouTubers react to this. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Right? At the end of the day, if this happens, you, on your little YouTube channels, your elite YouTube channels, will be covering it. You're just going now with this because your customers, your subscribers are fucking angry about it. But so you're going to echo those sentiments. But this is Big Mouth. I'm not a successful channel. It doesn't matter what I fucking say, right? I'm going to speak my truth. You either stick with me, and by the way, if you're a football fan who found this channel, let's give some support to the small YouTubers, right? You know, built-in camera, built-in mic into my Lenovo laptop. Very amateur. I'm very amateur. My presenting style is all over the place. But come and join me. Because if you do join me, if you do subscribe, if you do like this video, I will do more videos like this and we can bring football, the football conversation into the Big Mouth Daily, as well as the geek stuff about the DCEU and the MCU and other geek stuff as well. And so, you know, it's up to you if we talk about this again. I know the geeks will be going, why are you talking about this? I don't even know what you're talking about. I apologise. I'm a Man United fan. I'm a fan of football, especially English football. And I really needed to talk about this. So, what are my thoughts about this? Well, I've already said that I feel this is some kind of public blackmail from these elite clubs to FIFA and UEFA, saying to them, you're not giving us what we want within the structure and remit of these new structures you put into this new Champions League that you're going to announce today. It will be interesting what they say about that. Will they delay the announcement or will they go forward? It'll be interesting what they say about this new structure. If UEFA back down, if they don't make the announcement today, that means they've bent the knee to these elite clubs and they're going to go back into negotiations Give them what they want. So this Super League doesn't happen. Now, these clubs have said this Super League could happen as soon as next season. That's to force UEFA and FIFA's hand. This is what's happening here. So I'm not convinced this is a done deal. I'm not convinced that this is going to happen. But what I will say, straight off the bat, everyone, every football fan, first of all, I don't want you to worry. I don't want footballers to worry about losing their international places. They can't do that to you. They need you more than you need them. There is nothing to worry about here. These are a bunch of business people at FIFA, UEFA, and these elite football clubs, and they are having a bit of a power struggle. It will be sorted out, and I suspect, and you can keep this receipt because I could end up with egg on my face, that this Super League won't even happen. But let me know in the comments down below what you think about all of this. What an absolute clusterfuck. Lot of fuss. It probably will come to nothing, but we will see, and we will talk about it again as this story develops. I'm really glad I got all of that off my chest, because there was so much bullshit going on about this Super League thing, and it was starting to piss me off. As I say, the fake outrage, oh, you're killing football, you've burst the balloon of football. No, football is still what it was yesterday, by the way. And a great result for Manchester United as well. 3-1 victory, 2 great goals by Greenwood. We really struggled at Old Trafford, so I was really, really happy about that one as well. Anyway, let's leave football behind for today, and let's talk about the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe. What is the future of it? And so we know we've got 5 movies to come. We've got James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, a film that I had the honour of having a test screening viewing of, and go and check my reaction out on this channel. I've already done a reaction to that movie. No spoilers, just giving you my thoughts and feelings of it. So 5 movies we've got coming up, including James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. And we've got Aquaman. We've even got, Shazam! Fury of the Gods isn't even in that 5 movies. We got that in 2023. But we've got Black Adam. We've got Flashpoint. We've got the Batman. Look, we've got so much to look forward to, and I'm so excited. But, like it or not now, Walter Hamada is the president of DC Films. But it goes bigger than that. But in terms of the actual films now, I think that Andy Mushetti and his sister Barbara are running the movies. And so what we're going to get with that now is they will do the main movies. So I believe by the end of Flashpoint, we will see the newly formed Justice League. And I don't know what that newly formed Justice League will be. Now I'm just gonna take a punt. So Momoa's Aquaman, I think, is pretty safe. I think Gadot's Wonder Woman is pretty safe. Now the Superman one is interesting. I've already said I heard rumours from my sources that Cavill will be at the beginning of Andy Muschietti's Flashpoint. For now, let's just say a question mark about who will be Andy Muschietti's Superman going forward. I think there's a really good chance of Michael Keaton being the new Batman, or it could be somebody else. I think maybe we might not get any Batman in his Justice League, and it might now be Batgirl. I think they'll definitely introduce a Batgirl. Supergirl is going to be part of his new Justice League. We know Sasha Calais has been cast as Supergirl for Flashpoint, and her and Ezra Miller, who plays the Flash, a.k.a. Barry Allen, had a good chemistry reading, which is great. So I expect Supergirl to be part of the new Justice League as well. I expect maybe a Green Lantern as well, and maybe even a brand new Martian Manhunter. I don't know if they'll use Harry J. Lennox or they'll use a new one. But there could be so many different characters in this version of the Justice League. So basically, I think this is partly what we're going to see by the end of the Flashpoint movie, a brand new Justice League. So any future Justice League movies for the central universe of DC Films will be led by Andy and Barbara Muschieti. Andy will be in charge creatively, and Barbara will be in charge as a producer, of course. They're brother and sister. They're a brother and sister team. Basically, they're very similar in the way they work together to Zack and Deborah Snyder. And I love Zack and Deborah Snyder as a couple. I love Zack as a director, as you already know. But Zack's done with the central universe. He's never going to run the central universe of the DC Extended Universe again, whether you like it or not. this is the truth. Walter is in charge, and I believe his main man is Andy Mushetti. Now, a lot of people call Walter Hamada a clown. I don't remember anyone calling him a clown when he was running one of the most successful horror franchises over on Warner Brothers division New Line Cinema. So, Walter Hamada is very good at what he does. He's very good at his job. And he came over to the DCEU at the worst time anyone could come over. As we already know, it was a clusterfuck. None of the people, including Zack Snyder, could agree on the right way to do things, right? So in the end, everyone's tugging the cracker from a different direction, and everyone wants to win. And on that premise, nobody wins. That's the problem. So this is what went wrong there. It's gone. The only hope for us who appreciate Zack's DC movies, and I certainly do, is over on HBO Max in some kind of Elseworld format. And I hope we get that. And I'm still slightly more confident than I have been that can still happen. Anyway, we will see. But what I want to talk about is the Central Universe. I have no issue with Walter Hamada's plans. When I think about all these movies that are coming, I have no issue with them. As you know, I've already seen James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Now, Aquaman 2, Shazam 2, very exciting projects. The Batman, Black Adam, very exciting projects. And we've got other projects in the DC extended universe as well. We've got a brand new Superman produced by J.J. Abrams. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be written by social justice writer Tanashi Coates. That could be problematic, but it's Superman. We do not know if this is Kal-El they're doing or another, or if is it Val-El or Val-Zod or whatever you call him, the Superman of color. We don't know. It could be anything. They could actually cast an actor of color to play Kal-El to be really confrontational, controversial. But first of all, to me, it's more important who you cast, not what color they are. For me, it's important you cast the right guy. So if as confrontational and controversial as casting an actor of color as Kal-El, the main Superman, if it was someone that I could say, oh my God, yeah, man, I can live with this. This is all right, yeah. Then I'm fine with it. It's all about what they do creatively, and if it works for me, it works. We will see what happens with that. Look, if Tanashi Coates is writing this, there's going to be talk of racism. It's going to be a deep dive, and it's as usual with these things. This is where we live. We live in a polarizing world. It's going to split the fandom. Unfortunately, this is where we are now. And if you don't want to see that, I'm willing to give these people a chance and give these people a try. You've got, 5, 6, 7 Superman movies. You've got Smallville. You've got The Adventures of Superman. You've got The New Adventures of Superman. You've got animated Superman. You've got animated Justice League. There's quality there from the good old days, as I like to call them, right? But if you're interested, I think this could be a very fascinating experiment. I think the multiverse strategy they're going to implement is very exciting. But I don't think of any of these films coming up in the Central Universe and think, oh, they're going to suck, man. I don't think that. I think they're going to be awesome. And I can't wait to see them. And I'm excited that all these films are going into production this very year. That's so exciting because we're going to get behind-the-scenes pictures. We're going to get, posters and TV spots and eventually trailers. So this is all part of the hype for for these movies that I love, for this universe that I love. So I couldn't be happier. So that's the kind of Justice League I think we're going to get. It would be a major shock to me if Ben Affleck's Batman, Batfleck, was still in the Justice League and part of the Central Universe after Flashpoint is finished. But, stranger things have happened. It could be that way, and that would be astounding if that was the case. I think the biggest question mark has to be over Henry Cavill because nobody knows what's going on with him. I certainly expect him to be in the Flashpoint movie. There's no question about that, and I look forward to that happening. I just feel that nobody knows. Nobody's spoken about it. They started shooting the Flash movie, and still we don't know if Henry Cavill is involved, and we need to know that. I think he is. I think they're just biding their time and choosing the right moment to announce this. Look for a big announcement, not necessarily Henry Cavill, but something big dropping from Flashpoint or Aquaman 2 or one of these films that's going into production or is in production already. I'm hearing some interesting stuff on the grapevine, which I won't go into, but expect something big to drop. If not this week, next week. I think that's going to be very exciting if what I'm hearing is true. So as I say, it's kind of interesting and exciting to kind of think of this brand new Justice League. I think it would be awesome to have Batgirl and Supergirl as part of a Justice League, and maybe a new Batman, maybe a new Superman. It's one of these things that's just kind of, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm excited because we're finally getting a Flashpoint movie, and I know eventually Zack Snyder was going to bring a director in, or had his own director, to do a Flashpoint movie as well. But that's gone now. You know, whatever fight we win with Zack now to get him back, to get his Elseworld universe done over at HBO Max, he will never run things totally. I thought maybe there might have been a chance because I was so excited after his Snyder Cut movie, but after that sign-off interview, I think it was pretty clear the company as a whole is not interested in that scenario at all. What has cost Snyder running the Central Universe? Well, because he's Snyder. Because he's Snyder and he has his free will, and he's just a source of energy. He wants to do things his way. He wants everything to be done his way. He doesn't want to compromise at all. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But I think when you're using other people's money and you're working for a company that own the IPs, there has to be at least an inch of compromise. And Zack doesn't want to do that. He doesn't listen to what studios say. He just wants to make his thing. And I think Netflix is the perfect place for that. And I certainly think Warner Media isn't the place for that. And I think that's obvious now. Whether it's Warner Media, HBO Max, Warner Brothers Pictures, these big companies want to say in how their IPs are shaped. And it is their money and it is their reputation on the line. So that's kind of understandable. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate about that as well. So we will see. I want to restore the Snyderverse. It's problematic. It's difficult. But one of the other things I think's really cost Zack is Ray Fisher. I've always applauded Ray for fighting to get justice for what happened on the set, the reshoots with Joss Whedon. That's right. Joss Whedon's alleged behaviour was disgusting and despicable and unprofessional, everything that Ray said. But I think the callous, unprovoked attacks from Ray towards DC film president Walter Hamada were despicable. He used Walter Hamada as a pawn. Walter Hamada is not a racist. He did not block any investigation. Anything he didn't say was under the direct orders from his bosses over at Warner Media and Warner Brothers Pictures and AT&T. Let's be absolutely clear here. He's only the president of DC Films. He's not the head of the whole company. He can't totally do what he wants. But Walter has a lot of respect. So once you start treating someone like that, what happens? Warner Brothers, Warner Media have emotional reactions to you. And they dig their feet in. We're not going to restore the Snyderverse, Ray. How dare you attack this man? He has done nothing. He has done nothing. He's just doing his job. He's got a terrible job to do. He's got a mess to sort out with the DC Extended Universe. And you've brought him into this discussion when basically he did nothing wrong. Did he not believe him about Jeff Johns? Maybe he did. Maybe Jeff Johns is his mate. I defend my mates, right? You defend your mates. Is that bad? Normally these things are not public, but Ray and Zack make everything public, and that's the problem, right? If something was revealed private and personal about Zack and Ray, how would you feel? You would be disgusted. So Warner Brothers Pictures were disgusted at Ray, and they kept on reacting publicly towards Ray because these were emotional things. They were attacking one of their own. Because Walter Hamada has been with this company for many, many years. Firstly at New Line Cinema, and now he's their fixer with the DCEU, and they believe in his plan. And people attack him for not being a DC stan, for not knowing the DC book so well. But Jim Lee does know the DC world, and this is a partnership. I think this could work beautifully, and even better if we can restore the Snyderverse over at HBO Max. But I think Ray Fisher's treatment of Walter Hamada hasn't helped anyone. It hasn't helped our cause to restore the Snyderverse. Now, I think later on today, or already, it could be by the time you see this, it would have already happened. I think we've got another Restore the Snyderverse campaign event going over on social media, especially Twitter. I'll be involved in that. I think it's either later on today or already happened if you're watching this now on YouTube, depending when you're watching it. Or it could be the next day. I really don't know, but whatever it is, I will certainly be involved, because do not misunderstand me. I love Zack Snyder. I love his so far 3 DCEU movies. I dare not call it a trilogy because people get upset. But I've enjoyed those films. I just don't think that Zack Snyder can work running, a comic book franchise centrally. You cannot exclude children from the conversation. Man of Steel wasn't for children, not even a little bit, right? And he excluded children and families going to the movies to watch superheroes. The MCU didn't do that. And that's the difference. That's why it's more successful and people are more positive about the MCU than the DCEU. Although I love Zack's movies, it's not practical to say these films are for adults. That's the end. You can't, Zack. You can't. You can have your little universe on HBO Max. I'm happy with that. But at the end of the day, as good as Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman and the Snyder Cut are, you can't exclude children watching Superman, watching Batman. Jesus Christ. I was watching Superman with Christopher Reeve as a child. I was watching Adam West as Batman and Burt Wood as Robin as a child. These things have to be accessible for everyone, or they're accessible to no one, and they don't make these people the money they want. And it's not just about total box office. I was arguing with someone yesterday, quoting, the global box office, the final global box office for Shazam and for BVS and MOS. And obviously MOS and BVS made more money with the global final run of the box office than Shazam did. But here's the thing. Shazam made more money with merchandise. That's the thing. And that's criminal when we think we're talking about Batman and Superman as well, because Shazam's more accessible to children. Children are the ones who are going to buy the merchandise. Now, I know older geeks buy a lot of merch, but it's different types of merch. It's older types of merch. This is new merch that they're trying to sell. Do you understand? And when these things are not accessible to these audiences, to these families and children, things go wrong. And as a business and as a studio, you want to do this. We can argue forever what should be how should you run a DC Extended Universe franchise? Should it be memorable movies made for adults, or should it be some family movies for children as well? I think you can have a bit of both, and I think that's the plan going forward, and that's really exciting as far as I'm concerned. So this should stir up opinion, this is what the Big Mouth Daily is all about. Rian Johnson reportedly spoke to Mandalorian producer about directing an episode. So that's going to stir the pot a bit, seeing how some Star Wars fans feel about Rian. Rian Johnson has reportedly spoken to the Mandalorian producer Dave Filoni about directing an episode, though it isn't happening just yet, by Rachel Labonte. Rian Johnson has reportedly spoken to Mandalorian producer Dave Filoni about directing an episode of the Disney Plus series. Lucasfilm's first live-action Star Wars show emerged at an interesting time for the franchise, as audiences found themselves torn by where things were headed. On the big screen, Disney's sequel trilogy started out strong, but Johnson's 2017 installment, Star Wars The Last Jedi, drew some heavily divided reactions from the fan base. Some were thrilled by the daring swings Johnson took, while others criticised his apparent disregard for the franchise's past. 2 years later, hope for the Star Wars fandom arrived with The Mandalorian. The streaming show takes place in the aftermath of the original films and tells the simple story of a lone bounty hunter learning to care for a powerful child. The Mandalorian has become a fan favourite series and has plenty of critical acclaim to boot, making it the most beloved piece of Star Wars content to emerge since the franchise fell into Disney's hands. The Mandalorian Season 3 is expected to begin filming in the coming months. Since February, author Saraya Wilson has been revealing bits of conversations she recently had with Johnson. Her latest reveal pertains to Johnson and The Mandalorian. She asked him if he would ever consider directing an episode of the series. According to Wilson, he said he was dying to, but for him, it's all about scheduling. Johnson is currently in the midst of preparing for Knives Out 2, so any potential Mandalorian job would hinge on his schedule freeing up. Additionally, Wilson said Johnson has spoken to Dave Filoni about it, having visited the set during season 1. So season 1 was a long time ago. Don't forget that. So this is what Soraya said. It's not Sarah, it's Soraya. I asked Ryan if he ever considered doing an episode of The Mandalorian. He said he was dying to. But that for him, it's all about scheduling. He's been writing KO2 and now he's going to go directly into filming. It would be a matter of finding time to break away and do it. He said he has spoken to Dave Filoni about it. He had gone and visited the set during season 1. He said it was so cool, and I told him I was very jealous he had seen Baby Yoda months before the reveal. He said it was fascinating seeing. Filoni has previously said Johnson had a big impact on his first experience as a director, so it would almost be full circle to have Filoni then recruit the Last Jedi helmet for The Mandalorian. Of course, this does not mean Johnson is guaranteed to direct a future episode, but evidently conversations have at least taken place. Yeah, you're talking about 2 or 3 years ago. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But The Mandalorian, Johnson would join an impressive list of directors that already includes Filoni, Robert Rodriguez, Bryce Dallas Howard. Oh, we're calling Bryce an impressive director now. And Taika Waititi. Johnson will be sticking around in the Star Wars universe as he still has a trilogy in the works. Before that, though, he'll be working on his original crime property, Knives Out, which recently saw its sequel shift to Netflix. In a massive deal, Johnson remains a controversial figure within the Star Wars franchise, but it's hard to deny his talent as a filmmaker. Many would be interested to see what he would do with a Mandalorian episode, and only time will tell if they ever will. I think this is interesting. Seeing the very reason that Jon Favreau is even involved is because Kevin Feige has literally taken over a lot of the running of the Star Wars properties because of what happened with the sequel trilogy. And I can tell you, the veto vote is Favreau. That nobody's supposed to know officially that Feige is running elements of Star Wars and Lucasfilm now. But he was brought in as a fixer to fix this shit show. A bit like Walter Hamada with DC and Warner Brothers, right? So his man is Jon Favreau. He was brought in to save this shit show, and The Mandalorian has already saved this shit show. And there's a number of other shows from Feige and Favreau that are going to do the same thing. Star Wars, slowly but surely, is in a better position. But unfortunately, we've still got Kennedy, green lighting some projects that probably won't work or even happen in the long run. But, so Disney, right? Disney are team Feige and Favreau because they know that's, in the long run, that's the one that brings peace and prosperity to Disney and Lucasfilm. I very much doubt that Johnson will ever get to do a Mandalorian episode with Feige and Favreau involved. Not happening. He spoke to Filoni a few years ago. It's not going to happen. You know it, and I know it. In terms of this trilogy that he's been banding about doing for a long time ago, here's my opinion. If he actually did that trilogy and didn't do The Last Jedi, we wouldn't be here now. He would be a fan favourite and it would have been okay. The problem with Johnson is he was brought in to do a second part of a trilogy. He just pretty much treated it like a standalone movie, and it simply was underwhelming. It was underwhelming to me without it being terrible to me, but the problem with it is it's a bit like Seven. Seven kind of takes away your expectations and does what it does with, Gwyneth Paltrow's head and everything, which is a shocker. What Johnson does with Star Wars is he takes things away from you, things that you wanted. For example, he gets rid of Snoke, an interesting, intriguing villain very early on. And then you're just left with Rey, and you're just left with these other new characters that have been underdeveloped. It's problematic. I like Rey. I love Daisy Ridley. Right, I love Kylo Ren. That's the thing. You're just left with Kylo Ren as a villain, and he's not a strong villain. You can't kill off Snoke like that. Forget about the stuff about Rey's lineage and things like that. Things we were having fan theories about. That's a different situation. He was taking things away by having Kylo Ren say, "Oh, you're nothing special. Your parents were nothing special." It makes the fans, and it made me think, as someone watching the thing, go, "Oh, really? That's a bit disappointing." That's not exciting for me anymore. That's what he did. So the movie Seven gives you something exciting, and The Last Jedi takes everything away from you and makes everything seem bland, underwhelming, and uninteresting. And that's my opinion about that. So finally yesterday was Superman's 83rd birthday, and all Superman fans were celebrating. We have a vast catalogue of comic books, live action TV shows, movies. There's a lot to celebrate in the past 83 years. For me, Superman was first viewed to me in Superman the movie as a 10-year-old child, and he changed my life. He gave me someone to look up to. He gave me someone to believe in. I've never been a religious person, and I've really always substituted God with Superman, if you like. He's the one I believe in. He's pure, he's heroic, he's got all these powers and he uses them for good. When I was being bullied and I felt suicidal as a child, I always looked to Superman. When I was suffering with depression and living in a shared accommodation with very little money to support myself, I turned to Superman in Smallville. Superman has always been there when I've needed him. So happy 83rd birthday, Supes, Kal-El, Clark. You're awesome. Your cast of supporting characters are awesome. And you've been here for me all these years, and you always will be till the day I die. Comment down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more Big Mouth Daily. See you again soon.